Hi, Arron Chambers here. Welcome to day 5 of the Next Steps Ministers Training on Marriage and Family. I'm a pastor, I'm a marriage coach and a life coach, and I'm also the director of marriage and family for Christian Church Leadership Network. And as I'm saying every day, if you give me 30 minutes over the next few days, I will give you back a more extraordinary marriage. Today I want to talk to you about living a better story. I am a writer. I've written 7 books, and I've also written a screenplay for a movie that we hope will go into production sometime soon. And in that process, I've learned what it takes to have a good story. All right, a good story is a character who wants something and overcomes conflict to get it. In his book, A Million Miles in a Thousand Years, Donald Miller explains in great detail this concept. And he talks about a guy, what makes a good story, and he talks about a guy who wants a Volvo. And he says, a good story is not a guy who wants a Volvo, goes to a Volvo dealership, writes a check, or pays cash and drives away in the Volvo. You don't cry when he drives away. You don't cry when he turns on the windshield wipers. But that's not a good story. But it's a much better story if that guy had to overcome some great challenge or conflict to accomplish something. People are not going to cry or care if our story is basically the equivalent of a guy buying a Volvo. What kind of story are you living? I want to live a better story. A character who wants something and is willing to overcome conflict to get it. When was the last time you wanted something so much for your marriage, for your family, that you're willing to overcome conflict to get it? A few years ago, my family and I wanted to live a better story. And so we prayed about it, and God laid on our heart to build a universally accessible playground for our community. So I went to the mayor and found out that he was not in charge, and ended up talking to the city manager and said, hey, my family and I want to build a playground. And ended up talking to the director of Parks and Recreation for our community. And long story short, over a period of 3 years, we were a part of building a universally accessible playground on 9 acres of land right by the rodeo in our town. And it was a project that cost $1.3 million. It's called Avon's Village, named after a young girl in our church. And that was a much better story. You're not going to tell my kids that God doesn't do impossible things. My kids were a part of that story from beginning to end. And because of that, their faith has grown and their imagination has grown. God is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. And my kids know that. My wife knows that. My family knows that. Why? Because we are trying to live a better story. So here's what I want you to do. As far as evaluation goes today, scale from 1 to 10, rate yourself on what kind of story you're living. And then, ask your spouse to rate you all on how y'all are doing as a couple. And maybe you're as a family. You guys determine the criterion for how you're doing living a better story. Is your story good? Is it not good? And then as far as next steps, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down 5 things you want as a part of your story. 5 things you want. And then next to each one, write down what you're willing to do to accomplish that. And then as a filter, at the bottom of the page, over the next 30 minutes, I want you to end by answering this question. Are those the elements of a good story? And if not, scrap it, start over. God wants us to live better stories. It's great for us as Christians, it's great for our ministries, and it's great for our families and for our wives. All right? God bless you, and remember who you are.